Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 333. So chugging along on July episodes, special birthday July episodes. Of course, if you want to keep up with me online, I'm on Instagram and Twitter, both at Casting for Two. Whatever you're listening to this podcast on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, or just the website in general, I super appreciate it. Of course, if you left me a review, that would be even better. I would love you forever. So you could do that if you want. Wow, I really don't have much to say for this intro. Normally I have a ton to say. Now I'm in that mode of killing time. So how's your day going? You know, I feel like I never ask you, the audience, how your day is, and I feel like that is so selfish of me. So I want you, wherever you're listening, I want you to respond and yell it out how you're doing today. Right now. Go. You better have done it. I hope you did it. All right, that's all I'm saying. But I should talk about my guest. My guest is a wonderful and talented singer, songwriter, musician. Musician. Yeah, I don't know why that sounded weird in my head. Anna Connolly is here. She hails from the D.C. area, but she has her latest album is out right now called Afterthoughts, and I think it's phenomenal. It came out a while ago, but still, pick it up. Anna is just a wonderfully talented person, and I was so happy to chat with her about her process. But you know what? I'm done. We got to get in this episode, so sit back, relax, and Chris, cue the music, please. Your morning going so far?
Well, it's going pretty well. I was actually trying to work on a song that I'm playing a show tomorrow night, and I haven't played in D.C. You know, I'm in the Washington D.C. area, and I haven't played here in a while. And I was trying to have a new song play. And so I was like sort of working on that and trying to finish the song or make it more presentable. But I think I'll probably play it anyway, and it might stick the way it is, or you know, I could always still work on it afterwards.
Now, is this a brand new song that no one's heard? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What's your process like for getting new music or writing new music, I should say?
Well, I love that question because it's something that when I started trying to, write music for the first time, I was really interested to learn that from other people, because I hadn't really ever thought about that before or really paid attention to or read interviews to understand how people really do it, right? And so the way that I've written pretty much all of my songs is starting with the lyrics. The first song I wrote was just like a line that I remembered that somebody said to me, and then I kind of came up with some more words around it, and then the words fell into like a rhythm, and then I had a melody that went with the words. So, it really like started with the words that then created the melody around the words.
Mm-hmm.
and then I would write more words that would fit the story and fit the melody, you know. So it really always for me started from just like writing lyrics down and then repeating them enough in my head until a melody came with them.
Do you? Oh no, sorry.
And I guess the other thing, I mean, only recently have there been times now where I've had melodies come into my head with no words on them, and then I try to take words that I've written and stick them into the melodies that I've gotten. But, you know, after I started playing music, you know, which I didn't start until later in life, but I know a lot of musicians. I remember, you know, I would ask people I know who've played all their lives pretty much, and no one I knew, I mean, the few people I asked all were starting from, like, the guitar, you know, like, oh, I wrote a riff on the guitar, and, like, they write the song, and then they add the lyrics at the end, which is definitely, like, the opposite of what I've ever done. It's like, for me, the guitar is kind of like the guitar is like the accompaniment to the story. You know, that's sort of how it's evolved for me, because I didn't, you know, like, yeah, I don't just, like, play the guitar. I didn't play the guitar really, you know, ever until I was an adult, you know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, do you have to be in a particular headspace when you write music?
I feel like not exactly, you know, I mean, I just have to, I guess I think that for me, unfortunately, you know, I've also read a lot about people in general and about, you know, productivity for creative people or just people in general, where they, you know, people have their ways of doing things, like, oh, every day I commit to, like, 2 hours where I only, like, write my novel, or I commit to writing a certain number of words per day. And I know that that's probably a really good thing to do, and I'm not like that. I'm not very good at discipline like that. And so for me, that's why the way that it usually works is when I have the pressure of, like, a new show.
Yeah.
Like a show coming up at a place that I've played before. So obviously at home I've played here before, you know, a number of times, and I start thinking, you know, I better have new material. So the first songs I ever wrote were like that. Like, I wrote one song, and then I played, like, 2 months later, so I wrote another song. Like, it was because of the show that made me write a song. So I seem to operate well under kind of like deadlines, you know. So that might be my headspace, is the deadline headspace. My other thing I've sadly noticed, I think that when I look at, like, these notebooks that I've kept for lyrics and things, I used to write a lot more lyrics, like, you know, like 5 years ago, or essentially whenever I didn't have a smartphone. So maybe it was more than 5 years ago. I feel like the, you know, social media and the smartphone lifestyle of, like, constantly looking at stuff and being able to, like, watch Netflix and, you know, have so much right at your fingertips, I think has, you know, been a little detrimental for my productivity, because it's just so easy to do that. And I think, you know, before when I would just have more time to sit there and think and not be distracted by social media or whatever is online, you know, I would just sit there and think and then write more things, you know, and have more time to, like, sit there and be in that kind of state of mind where I could have a couple hours where I wasn't thinking about other things, or being able to, like, distract my train of thought so much. So that's been on my mind recently. You know, maybe because I want to make another record, and, you know, and so I need to really write more, and I think that kind of thing would help me.
Okay. And as far as when did you catch the music bug?
Well, I guess there's different levels of bug, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, meaning I've been a music fan, or you know, a pretty serious one, since I was since I was pretty young, but, like, a teenager is when I started going to, like, punk rock shows and stuff. So, I mean, I've been living in that kind of world, like I would say that was my scene, you know, and I worked at a record store for a long time when I was a teenager, and a lot of my friends when I was really young were were musicians at the time, or then, you know, like turned into musicians, like all the old DC hardcore, you know, people like the original DC scene. Mm-hmm. People were all friends of mine that I was hanging out with, you know, and bands like practiced in my mom, you know, when I lived at my mom's house, we had bands like Minor Threat that like practiced in our basement and stuff. Like it was like that was what my world was all of that, you know. But I never thought about playing then. Like I don't remember why I didn't. It wasn't like I thought I never tried to play music then. I didn't think about it really. And even like when girlfriends of mine started playing, I also still just didn't think about that. Like it never crossed my mind to do it. So music's been a huge part of my life, you know, absolutely, you know, I feel like forever, you know, since I was a teenager. And, you know, just more as like a fan, but like a pretty active fan, I'd say, you know, like it was a big thing for me. But then I only started playing later, you know, much later, like kind of by accident, because I had, after I had kids, I had this idea that I could like be one of these moms with like an acoustic guitar, and that I could like entertain my children with, I don't know, I think I took my son to some class where, you know, that's what some woman was doing. And so I thought, well, I should do that. And I mean, that was kind of, you know, I guess cute, but they did not, you know, that didn't really work. That idea did not work. Like when I brought a guitar home, they just thought it was like an annoying thing that was interfering, you know, like with, I mean, it was kind of, so, but then I kind of liked playing, but I still didn't really think that I would write songs. But then after I was just playing a little while, or like learning, I took like a group intro to folk or acoustic guitar class, like in the city where I live. Like it was just this group lesson. And then I started learning songs of things that I liked. You know, then I started sort of connecting it, like attaching, okay, well, this is the guitar, like whatever, all these bands that I, you know, it's like so obvious. This is the instrument used and all this music that I've loved all my life. So then I started kind of like trying to figure out songs of things that I liked. And then I realized, well, maybe I should just try to write a song. And so that, it really was like an accident. You know, I mean, it came in an unusual way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And you recently put out an album in October?
Yes. So I had written a few songs, and you know, went into the studio. Like actually, Ian MacKaye took me when I first wrote like my first two songs. I was hanging out with him, and he's like, why don't we just go to Inner Ear, you know, the studio in Arlington that so many records, Discord records and other local records were recorded. He's like, why don't you record a demo? And I was like, okay. Like I didn't really even, you know what I don't know, whatever. And I just stood there and played the acoustic guitar and sang, like, you know, just recorded them like that. And I just did that. And so I recorded a few songs at the time, and then I stopped for some reason. I don't really know what happened. And then I decided to do it again, and that's kind of when I decided to do it again, which was probably like 2 years ago, I kind of redoubled my efforts and thought, like, if I'm doing this, I should you know, write some more songs, get enough for a record, and really like make a record. Like I wanted to you know, take it to another level in terms of it not just being me playing solo, and, you know, try to put ideas to the songs, because I write them all by myself, and I often play solo. And originally that's all I ever did was play completely solo, you know, and then I started kind of adding people to the set, you know, and then I realized that I wanted to like try the song, you know, build the songs up and try them with like a full band and different sorts of levels of arrangement. So that's how that record came about. Because the players. I mean, I still play. Like tomorrow night, I'm playing a show, and Devin Ocampo, who's on the record, he plays drums and a lot of other things on the record. Like he's drumming with me tomorrow, but it's not like a regular band.
Right.
He plays sometimes, and other people play other times, and sometimes I don't have a drummer and things like that. But I mean, it was definitely because we weren't a real band that always played together or wrote songs together. It was an interesting thing because it was like the songs were pretty much done, but we kind of all figured out the we practiced together obviously before we went into the studio, but we kind of worked together on the arrangements, and Devin added things to them afterwards, but I'm assuming it's sort of different than what somebody would do if it was like a regular band that's always playing together, and then they just go record what they're doing and stuff. So it's that's how that record kind of came about. I mean, there's some songs on there that are still almost solo, but then I feel like I wanted there to be like a variety of different. A little bit of, I guess the mood is very similar probably for all of it, but like, variety of arrangements, or tempos or whatever, like it's like not all, we wanted to have like a sort of some dynamics to it.
No, because I was listening to it earlier, and I was just, it's, some of it's real, it feels dark, but I don't think it's dark. I was just like, oh, this is it's one of those like dark, beautiful things, and I was just, I'm really digging the sound. And
oh, cool, thanks.
And I'm just wondering if, not if, was there a song on the album that just took a little bit more time with, just because, the lyrics weren't working out, or the music wasn't working out, just something.
Well, there's some definite issues that are interesting about that, and it kind of reminds me of the song that I'm trying to write now. Well, for one example, for me, there's that song on the record, 1% Evil, that I had major hang-ups about that song for a long time because it doesn't have a chorus. Like it's just like 5 verses, and then it ends. And I thought that was like not, allowed, and I kept thinking that I wouldn't play it out because I thought that was not the way a song should be, and it took a lot, various people to convince me that it was fine, or even good, that it was okay to just like have it be that way, because for the life of me, I could never figure out what I could add to it in a chorus. So that was just like a thing about that song. And then I guess there's another, there's a song that's the last song called 3 Times that in the studio, Devin kind of said to me, I don't like this certain part of it. And so we kind of argued about it. And then I tried it his way, and he was right. And so the way, I mean, it was just like a minor change where there was like a part in the middle, this little extra part that he felt like was redundant. And he was right. I mean, he's an extremely experienced musician, so he was right about that. So, but we had a little, I was a little bit irritated, why are you bringing this up now, at like midnight, when we're trying to just get this done, so, so there was that. And he also suggested, I think on 21, there were some other, there were things that happened in the studio that definitely changed a little. And then also the Stars song, that was recorded at Inner Ear separately, like at a separate time earlier, when Joe Lally, who was in Fugazi, and he's in the Mesthetics, like Joe played with me for a little while. So he's on that. Me and Joe and Stefan Bauschmid, the drummer, went and recorded a couple songs. And I had like tennis elbow. I had like tendonitis or something in both of my arms, during that recording session. And so I literally could barely make certain basic chord shapes. Like my arms hurt so much. So we had to go back in and do more guitar on it, later. And so that's part of, there's certain sounds in that song that I hear, that I understand why they're like that, because we tried to redo certain guitar tracks, but we couldn't get it to sound the same. So there's like different sounds in the chorus, and that's why, because I had to go back in and like fix everything on a different day. So that was kind of that was a challenge, right? And we also hadn't really. But I mean, I guess the thing was interesting was that in the end it turned out good, but at the time it seemed, like a major frustration, because only when I got home after the first day that we tracked it did I hear how I was like actually missing notes on the song. And I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me this? This sounds like awful, right? Like in the guitar playing, like the guitar was clearly like defective, but we'd already left. So I was sort of mad, but then what happened when we went back, and fixed it, then it was fine, and it probably ended up better because of the fact that we had to fix it and I had to do overdubs. It probably made the song kind of sound like a little richer, but when it was done. So yeah, I guess there are a lot of things like that happen in the studio, for sure. So for me, it was all my first time. So I'm like actually eager to do it again so that I can be just because I just feel more like slightly more experienced now, and I probably will be a little more easygoing, or like understand the nuances of how things flow, and like they might not always, things can go wrong, or something that might seem like it's going wrong could actually end up causing a good result. Mm-hmm. I definitely noticed that.
But no tennis elbow this time.
No, thank goodness. Oh my gosh.
But for people at home who would like to keep up with everything that you do, the music, the shows, know where all that's happening, where can they do all of that?
Well, I do have a website that is just annaconnolly.com, like the way my name is spelled. Mm-hmm. Which is ANNACONNOLLY.com. So I think it's updated right now. I have to go in there myself and like add the shows to it. But I have a Facebook page that's Anna Connolly Music. And then I have an Instagram and Twitter. I don't use the Twitter as much, but which are both Anna C. in D.C. Mm-hmm. And, annaconnolly.bandcamp.com is there too.
There we go. Anna, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really appreciate you taking time out of your songwriting and your in your concert prep to chat with me.
Thank you. I'm excited too, because we just finished my first video, so that's going to be coming out sometime soon.
Nice,
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. There we go. Well, but I'll let you go. Continue to rock out and write music.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime you want to come back, just say the word. All right.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.